To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. Just a reminder again for anyone who's logged in online, if you could please mute yourself. If we hear any feedback, we'll have to ask Stoneham TV to mute people. Thank you. Thank you for coming tonight, everyone. For anyone that isn't aware, the original intent for tonight's meeting was for our public hearing on the FY25 budget. The agenda was amended to include an update on the South School incident from last week and to add a public comment period. Just wanted to take a minute to acknowledge the reason we weren't able to discuss the South School incident last night. Our agenda had been posted a few days prior, and it was only supposed to have a couple of housekeeping items on there so that we could focus on the budget tonight. Open meeting law strictly prohibits any lengthy discussion to items on the agenda. Last night was also our first meeting as a committee since the incident happened, and some of us were still getting up to speed on it. So unfortunately, it was really rotten timing. And for anyone that felt that their time was wasted attending our meeting, I apologize. I do agree the public deserves to be heard, and we will hear you tonight. We have Police Chief O'Connor here tonight with us and the Superintendent that will both provide a statement, and then we will have a public comment period. A reminder that public comment is not a dialogue. We're not allowed to respond or engage in any debate. It's an opportunity for the public to speak, and we will listen. Thank you. I'll turn it over to Chief.
Sure, thank you. Can everybody hear me? Excuse me. Good evening. Thank you all for being here. It's greatly appreciated. For those of you that don't know me or I haven't had a chance to meet, my name is James O'Connor. I am the new police chief in Stoneham. For those of you I've met, hello again. For those of you we haven't, hopefully on brighter days, we can sit down and have a conversation and introduce ourselves to each other. With that said, before my comments, as frustrating as this may sound, I just want to preface things by saying I don't want to frustrate you any more than you're already frustrated, but I am bound by certain legal and ethical obligations as to what I can and can't comment on the case. This incident is an ongoing criminal matter. Prior to coming here, I had discussions with DA Ryan about what we can talk about and what we can't talk about. It's not that I don't want to give you every single point of fact or detail. It's just that I'm bound by certain legal obligations, and I hope you would understand that the criminal case could potentially be jeopardized by some things that I say, and I know none of us would want that to happen. With that said, again, thank you for being here. I'm here to talk to you tonight about, not only from the perspective of a police chief, I'm a parent of 2 school-age children as well. So I completely understand your frustration, anger, curiosity about what happened. I have a high school student and I have a freshman in college, and I want to know everything that happened in their day, good or bad, and certainly when it concerns the safety of their building and the safety of themselves and the staff in that school. So that's what I wanted to say first. And I don't want to underestimate the great work that the Stoneham Police did on Thursday.
The Central Middle School.
Officer Sean O'Grady was the first officer on scene, and I'll get into detail about what happened. But Sean was able to verbally de-escalate without using any tools, just everything using his voice to de-escalate the situation to render it safe. And it was just a fantastic job by that. With that said, there were certainly failures, and that's what we're here to talk about. On Thursday, about 9:42 in the morning, we received a 911 call from the South Elementary School from Principal Jones, reporting a suspicious person on their campus. Principal Jones had witnessed a suspicious, later to be determined, a 39-year-old male on the campus of South Middle School. He witnessed him from a window. Principal Jones came outside and countered that individual. And again, the other thing I don't want to underestimate is the courage that took Principal Jones to do. So that speaks volumes to him placing himself in a situation he doesn't know anything about in between that person and his staff and more importantly, his students. So I want to thank him for that and just commend him on a job well done. He encountered an individual outside that was experiencing problems. Those problems I can't get into, again, because for reasons I stated at the beginning. He had quick dialogue with this individual. This individual was murmuring unintelligible things, and immediately Principal Jones knew that there was something up. He went back into the building, called 911. Within 1 minute, 60 seconds, our officers were on scene. Officer O'Grady was the first one on scene, followed by 5 other Stoneham police officers. There were 6 officers on scene. I say that because I want you to feel good about what we and me as a police chief and my officers feel. There's nothing more important in this community than the safety and security of your children and the staff at that building. We had 6 officers that some weren't even assigned, to the patrol division, leave what they were doing, respond down there. We were there within 1 minute. We encountered this individual away from school property. When we got there, this person was not on school property. They were walking towards Main Street. Officer O'Grady followed this person. This person made an attempt to elude Officer Grady and ran out into Main Street, crossed Main Street into about the 500 block of Main Street around Marble Street. When Sean encountered this person, he again immediately noticed there was something up. This person was suffering from something, again, that I can't get into. Sean and his partners were able to verbally de-escalate that situation within minutes. It's commendable, within minutes. And that goes to the training that these officers received. They're all trained in those type of verbal tactics to use to de-escalate really intense situations. And he did a great job along with the other officers on scene. They were able to get this person into custody. They handcuffed this person, were able to secure him safely. The officers were safe. Upon a search of this person, they located 2 knives that were on the person's, in their clothing. And another knife off a little distance away, but we do believe that there was this person's who had dropped it. From there, we were able to secure this individual, and eventually this person was taken to Woburn District Court, where they were arraigned on charges of disorderly conduct and carrying a weapon on school property. I think it's important to note that at no time did that person display a weapon while they were on the property or anywhere else. They never entered the building. They did attempt to pull the door. What the intent was, I can't speak to that of that person, but they did pull on the door, and we later learned that by looking at surveillance video the next day. So the individual was brought to Woburn Court, and from Woburn Court, they were arraigned on those charges, and then they were remanded to Bridgewater State Prison for Bridgewater State Hospital. I apologize, Bridgewater State Hospital for further evaluation. Coincidentally, on Wednesday, the FBI notified us to update us on an investigation they had involving the same individual. These investigations had nothing to do with each other. It was a coincidence that one happened on Wednesday and one happened at the school on Thursday. The FBI spoke to our detective division Wednesday night and communicated that just an update of an investigation they had into this person. They provided some details on some threatening and very vulgar emails that were sent to an individual in Michigan. They were communicated from Stoneham, so that would give us jurisdiction on the criminal matter. Anything that happens in Stoneham comes under the Stoneham Police jurisdiction. We were able to request additional charges on this person. They stem from stalking, threat to commit a crime, and communicating a bomb threat over the phone. That is a completely separate FBI investigation. Our detectives are assisting in that. I can't comment any further on that. Concerning at the middle school, you deserve more out of your community leaders. There is absolutely no doubt that you should have been notified Thursday of what happened. For that, I apologize. You should demand and expect more out of me as a police chief and out of the school department. There's no sugarcoating it, folks. I am sorry that that happened. I'm a parent. I would feel the same way as you do now, sitting here looking at me. So you know we've talked a lot about this. We've discussed it. This failure will not happen again. Another thing you should know is I started in September. Since then, we have met with the police, fire, Chief Grafton, Superintendent Youngberg, and his staff on a monthly basis at different schools to talk about safety and security and how to get better at it. I don't want this to be lost. Things worked on Thursday, folks. Things worked. Training kicked in. Your students were safe and sound because of the training that the staff at the school received, the training my officers received. This was over within minutes. The students, to my knowledge, didn't witness this person being taken into custody, which I was very happy at. But I don't want the lack of communication, or I should say the breakdown in communication by the leaders, to overshadow the great work of the school department and my officers at the police department. They did fantastic work bringing this very concerning situation to a safe resolution with verbal de-escalation. We trained for that, and it worked. I am sorry that this happened. You should have been notified Thursday. I'll say it 100 times. And I'm glad we had this opportunity to talk. And if any of you would like to talk one-on-one, I'm certainly available to you at any time. Come by the police station. If I'm there, if I'm not there, I'll come in and meet you. Please come by, ask any questions. I want to be as transparent, and I appreciate you all being here. You know, people need to be held accountable for their mistakes. Mistake was made. We're going to learn from it, and we're going to get better at it, and we're going to ensure it doesn't happen again. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief O'Connor. Good evening. My name is David Youngberg, Superintendent for the Stoneham Public School District. First, I want to thank all of you for being here this evening. I am a parent of 2 young elementary age students. And although I am not a resident of this community, I feel like a resident of this community. And I understand the anger, the frustration, the confusion, and the deep concern about this incident. I understand the parent perspective, and I can appreciate your justifiable questioning of how the communication of this incident was handled. As a superintendent, I also understand how this issue has caused harm to our community, as well as to your trust in me as your district leader. It is undeniable that the buck stops with me. I am sorry. I apologize for not having handled this situation differently, and to the expectation of what this community expects and deserves. I am grateful that the training, the procedures, and the protocols that we have in place worked just like they were meant to. I am grateful that Principal Jones's quick thinking and clear-headedness led to a positive response to this incident and a positive outcome for our students and faculty. That said, I know that many lessons have been learned here. I will continue to work hard to regain your trust and the trust of this community as a public official and as the leader of this amazing school district. As I have said before, and I will say again, that the Stoneham community and the Stoneham Public Schools are a hardworking, dedicated, and strong community. Our talented faculty, staff, administrators, police, fire, DPW, we are all a team. And we will continue to work as a team moving forward. I want to echo the Chief's remarks and thank the Stoneham Police Department for their fast and effective response last week and for their ongoing dialogue with this as the situation has unfolded. There is a lot about a criminal investigation that we simply do not know about after an incident occurs. What I do know is that an individual with no business in the Stoneham Public Schools came onto the grounds of the South Elementary School during the school day. The building principal saw this individual at a rear door and immediately called the police, consistent with our policies. The police responded immediately. Outdoor recess that day had already been canceled this day due to the cold, raw weather and the muddy conditions. Once the individual was apprehended and off campus, and after we were notified that the situation was resolved, there was no further disruption to the school day. However, I understand that the successful resolution of a situation is not sufficient. Regardless of the disruption, regardless of the outcome, regardless of what we know when, we need to consistently and immediately notify our community members, families, faculty, and staff about these events. Even in a situation where we have been advised that no students or staff are in danger, if there is an incident that draws an emergency or in any way disrupts the school day, I have a duty to communicate. I take this duty seriously. I take your feedback and concerns seriously. I am grateful to Chief O'Connor for his partnership with the Stoneham Public Schools. And the Stoneham Police and School Departments will conduct public outreach and media relations training using this case as an example. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Superintendent Youngberg, and thank you, Police Chief O'Connor. We will now have a public comment period. A reminder that anyone who wishes to speak should have signed up on the sheet outside. We do have a budget hearing after public comment, so I am going to hold all the budget comments for that portion, and I'm just going to call people that signed up with a different topic. I only see 2 right now for the incident itself, so if there's anybody else that didn't sign up, please go sign up. Just a reminder on the procedures for public comment, speakers will be allowed up to 2 minutes to speak. Please start by giving your name and address for the record. Topics should be limited to those items within the school committee's scope of authority. And just a basic common courtesy reminder, we're all adults here. We can all be respectful in our comments. And if there is any threatening speech or something to incite any breach of the peace, the chair does have the authority to terminate that speech. So let's all keep it respectful. So I will start with Amy Mondello.
Hi. Do I need to say my name again?
Yes, please, name and address.
Amy Mondello. I live at 78 Elm Street here in Stoneham. I want to start off first by saying thank you to the police for the immediate response. You guys are to be commended on that for sure. Thank you to the educators in this district who work tirelessly, who are among the best out there, who are the least paid out of all the communities surrounding us. So thank you to all of you. I'm happy to be the voice. I know I'm one of 2 speaking. I don't know who else is talking, but I was blindsided by Channel 7 News when I was running in my flip-flops, because I can't run in heels that fast. Though ask some of my students in the back, they might disagree. My former students, I was running to get my children because I was late, because again, I'm coming from my school, and this reporter shoves like, can I talk to you? And that was the first I heard of this incident. And it was so embarrassing. I had no idea what he was talking about. And then when I watched, and he said, do you know anything about the person who was trying to enter the school last week? And I had no idea. It wasn't until I watched the segment myself that I learned that the person was a sex offender. It wasn't until I watched the segment myself that I learned that he was armed. It was blindsiding. And it wasn't until that segment aired, and it wasn't until my Facebook community post on Stoneham Community Group went up, that we finally got a response from you. 5 days after. And I know this isn't a dialogue, apparently. I would love to know how there can be a dialogue, because I guess you're not going to respond to me, which is fine. But it's infuriating. It's completely infuriating. Sorry, I wrote stuff because I'm a little bit nervous. I also took the time to email you all, and I didn't get any response. I emailed you yesterday, and then I emailed the school committee today and received no response. The email that I sent today said to members of the school committee and the superintendent, I would like to know your thoughts on the following article that was released today. There was an article released by Turtle Boy. I'm not going to get into any of the incidents. I don't want to impede the investigation at all. I have it printed. I had it printed out, and I would like to know why repeatedly it was said that there was no threat in both of your emails, when clearly there was a threat if Mr. Jones had run in and called 911. So that was a lie, and I don't understand that. And I also do not understand why.
Your time's up, but I'll let you wrap up, okay?
Appreciate it. Especially since I'm apparently one of the only ones talking.
There's a couple more that on the sign-up sheet.
Oh, great. I'm so glad to hear that. as a parent, as an educator, it's just, it's extremely infuriating. And I feel like, I appreciate you saying that you failed. Because there's failure all around, and we do deserve better. Our students deserve better. Parents, you also had said that all of like the protocols were followed, and that's not true, because I know that teachers in the school were not even notified that it happened when the incident happened at the time. So it's just, there is so much to be learned by this, and I don't know, honestly, if you're going to build back the trust. So many parents are so upset, even though, I'm glad other people are talking, but the level of anger and outrage is just wild. And we all deserve better. You deserve to do better. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Chris, I think it's Roberts or Roberto, sorry.
Chris Roberto, 20 Oak Street. Just to piggyback, it's insane that we have to first find out what's going on in our own child's schools from a news crew, and then everybody wants to rush and get a comment together and some haphazard email that, oh, there was no threat, yet a pedophile was attempting to access an elementary school armed, but apparently there's no threat. It just makes no sense to me whatsoever. Again, I also have some notes written down. I'd like to know exactly what the policy and procedures are. There was no lockdown initiated, even though, again, a pedophile was attempting to access the school, but no lockdown was issued. No staff members were notified. Nothing was communicated to anybody except the principal knew about it. But if someone's trying to access the school, what's the policy and procedure? I'd like to know, find out exactly what that is. And lastly, the Turtle Boy thing came out, and I was gonna read some stuff off it that shows that it was an actual major threat, and this individual has said some majorly disturbing things regarding children, child pornography, and such as that. But there are children here, so anybody that does want to hear how this guy actually thinks, and this wants to just get brushed under the table by the school committee superintendent, I suggest you go read it, because it is extremely serious what this individual's thoughts are and what he says he plans on doing. And I also think the school committee needs to take some major actions in this regard, or maybe a possible recall on some school committees' thoughts if that has to come to fruition. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. I have two more people here. Andrew Dawson.
Hey, how are you tonight? Andrew Dawson, 5 Wagner Road, Stoneham. First, want to thank the police chief. You guys obviously did a fantastic job. If you have any idea what that situation entails, it is possibly a miracle that you could articulate that's absolutely illegally justified lethal use of force. Thanks to the school committee members. I know some of you personally, some of you I don't. We know how much time you guys spend at all these meetings nonstop. Thanks to the Stoneham teachers. I have a 5th grader, a 3rd grader, 2nd grader. My kids love their teachers. Great job with the principal at South School. I don't know him. I don't know if he's here. He obviously did a fantastic job. I just want to start by saying, Mr. Lundberg, I have absolutely zero faith in your ability to be the superintendent. The disingenuous messaging that you sent out, you said it was a quote unquote incident. Like, an incident is something that happens by happenstance, by accident. To your point, Chief, you said you don't know what he was trying to do. Obviously, you don't know what he was trying to do. I think it's fair to say he wasn't there to teach the kids reading, writing, and arithmetic. He was an armed pedophile there trying to gain entrance into the school. So not only is the delay infuriating, but just the messaging. We receive countless emails every week, which we appreciate, about the status of the high school. I actually emailed you 2 days ago. Of course, I didn't get a reply, which I didn't expect from you. But last week, an email went out about down power at Colonial Park, I think it was. The email went out at 8:40 in the morning. We got an email saying it was, quote unquote, business as usual. Why would you send an email so promptly about something you consider business as usual? and then wait 5 days when there was a criminal, a convicted criminal with weapons obviously there for nefarious purposes. It's absolutely asinine and disgusting. I have no faith in your ability. I have a lot of friends in towns, from parents to personal friends, people I know, and I guarantee you I am not the only one that feels this way. And I want to really appreciate you, Chief. I saw you speaking into the microphone. You don't have any pre-prepared marks. I appreciate the fact that you're speaking from your heart. Mr. Moonberg, I just don't like how you're reading a pre-prepared message. It doesn't seem genuine at all. And again, I have zero faith in your abilities. Thank you.
All right, we're not going to clap after comments, please. Let's try to keep it professional. Katrina Bridges.
Hi, Katrina Bridges, 34 Country Club Road. I just want to reiterate part of what Andrew said, and that we can't thank the police department enough for their response, for how it was handled, how it was managed. Eric Jones, kudos to him for getting everything under control so quickly. But this is the second incident of a pedophile in this district in less than a year. One, we're still paying. We're in a budget crisis, and we're paying a pedophile $90,000 a year to sit at home wherever he is doing whatever he does. And that is the first of these two incidents that was not conveyed to parents until it was released in the press. I mean, it's disgusting. Our kids are here, so you can both sit there and tell us about your kids wherever they are in whatever fancy school district you're living in, and that's great. But those aren't our kids. I mean, these are our kids. My nephew was told by friends at school there was a guy trying to break into the building with 4 knives because he heard it from other people who had the information before everybody did. So you effectively are waiting for the news to come out and tell us what we need to know when it should be coming from all of you up here. And you sit here, and every time we get these half emails and they don't have the information we need, we're left to guess, we're left to judge, and we're left to hear it from Turtle Boy. It's disgusting. And I think that every time this happens, and there are other incidents in the district where communication has been wretched. Parents have been calling for better communication for years. And every time you guys sit there and you say, it's going to be better, it's going to be better. You don't respond to emails. You don't communicate up front when it needs to happen. You just wait until everything goes crazy. And then we're in this situation on a Thursday night when we're supposed to be talking about a budget crisis, listening to you apologize again for your lack of communication. And I agree with Andrew. I mean, the school committee really needs to step up and do something about this, because we cannot carry on like this. If that guy had gotten into that building, that would have been a disaster. And were you going to tell us then? Are we waiting to hear then? I mean, there's no plan in place for how you are going to change your behavior other than you're just going to do better. And we need more. We deserve more.
All right. All right, everybody else I have on the sign-up sheet is here about the budget. Okay. Did you sign up on the sheet out there? Okay, yep, come on up.
Hi, my name is Tricia Wiggin-Condon, and I live at 5 Hanford Road. I want to echo what Katrina said about the lack of transparency. This is not the first time. It's not the second time. It's not the third time. It's not the fourth time that we have had a very serious incident within the Stoneham school system, and we weren't notified. I'm sure a lot of people are going to have, blank faces and not understand what I'm talking about. But if you look back in the history of the employees that have been here, okay, we've had several pedophiles working for the system, and nothing has been communicated to the parents or the teachers. The FBI has come in and taken the school computer because it was used to chat online with children. Okay, look up Dennis Dockham. Look up Stephen Orloff, who was the director of special ed, who had direct contact with students, and that was lied about. So I don't know what the end game plan here was. What was the game plan of not telling us that this happened and to say it's a person suffering a mental health crisis? He was pulling on the door outside. How would you like that if that was your child's school? I think I can speak for everyone. We're disgusted. Disgusted. Not by the Stoneham police. They did a stellar job. They did everything that they should have. But for your teachers to sit here and not even know that this took place, if a teacher was leaving to go out to their car to get something, supplies that they probably bought themselves for the students, and that guy was right there at that time, he'd slice their throat. And we'd be all here, thoughts and prayers, a candlelit vigil. Okay? Thank God that didn't happen. I don't know what the wait was. You should be ashamed.
All right, thank you. Dale Hadley.
Dale Hadley, 18 Prospect. I have two children at South Elementary. Just want to say, Chief, thank you. Thank you for the quick response. Thank you for all you do. Sir, we don't have leaders. We have elected representatives, maybe elected officials. We don't have leaders in the United States of America. I hope somebody will stand up and run for the school board and put an end to this. Thank you.
Ed Rosa.
Ed Rosa, 14 DeWitt Road. I've lived in Stoneham for 56 years. My children went through the schools. My grandchildren are now in the school. I've been an educator for 56 years, still involved in education. Spent 20 years as a high school principal. When I learned about this incident today from my daughter-in-law, I was stunned. In my 20 years as principal, to give you a quick example, I once suspended a game between freshman soccer players and didn't tell the parents. The superintendent the next day called me down and said, "You made a mistake." I could not believe that the superintendent, who I have never had any interaction with, could not have notified the parents. And the people before me have said it clearly. I can't imagine that. The second question, the second point that I want to make, and it's a question, were the school committee notified on that day of that incident by the superintendent? And if you were, what was your response? And if you weren't, you ought to be livid. And again, I told you a little bit about my background. I served as 9 years on the school committee in Stoneham a long time ago. And lastly, I commend the chief who told us what happened. I commend his force, and I commend him for saying, "I made a mistake. I didn't communicate." I did not hear that from the superintendent. I heard, "I'm sorry." In the day and age we live in, when people make mistakes and say, "I'm sorry," they think that erases everything, and it doesn't. So I hope the seriousness of what didn't occur will not go away after tonight's meeting, and that it'll be addressed. Thank you.
Thank you. Jessica Lebrec.
Jessica Lebrec, 33 Washington Ave. I brought to your attention a couple of years ago about the teacher, Mr. Smith. When I brought it to your attention, you guys told me I was misinformed. I also told you that there was actually a couple little girls that were, well, he was their teacher, like nervous and afraid of him, and you guys told me it wasn't true. A couple years later, it comes out, it was true. It was the same teacher, and he's a pedophile. Great. And now it comes to the South School, which the South School teachers are amazing. They go above and beyond, and like lucky for them, they did do the right thing. But you didn't. Yet again, like it's ridiculous. I really think you should just like resign or go your separate ways because this isn't working. Like our kids' safety is up to us, not you. You don't get to pick and choose like what we can know, what we cannot know. Those are our kids, not yours.
Erin Kennedy. This will be our last speaker.
Hi, Erin Kennedy, 2 Congress Street. I'm not addressing so much the staff. Amazing. All of you up there, thank you so much. Prevention is, I volunteer my time with prevention. The district had a safety night back in November. There were maybe 20 people who showed up. It's on Stoneham TV. Please look it up. It talked about safety, everything that the police department's doing, the fire department, their mental health professionals, Stoneham Alliance Against Violence, the Stoneham Health Coalition. There are so many groups in town that are working to keep our families and our kids safe. Please follow them. Like I said, Stoneham TV, who thank you for recording tonight. It's available. That video is available. You can look it up for November. There are many, many resources keeping our kids safe, and they're working together. It's a partnership. The other thing is, when you come to the middle school and the lovely secretaries ask, what's your business here? Don't give them a hard time. Tell them why you're here. You know, you're dropping off a saxophone at South School or whatever. The secretaries are the front line. You work with them. Do not give them a hard time because you're late for work and having a bad day. It's a partnership. So yes, these people have jobs to do. We as parents, we have to show up and have partnership too. Thank you.
All right, thank you, everyone, for your comments. We are going to take a 10-minute recess, and when we return, we will begin the FY25 budget public hearing. Thank you.